Welcome to today's broadcast, Talking to Heaven, and I'm your host, Gregory Sanderson, along with my co-host,
Lady Victoria.
And Lady Victoria has her own show on DATV, and can you tell us a little bit about your show?
Yes, I am a professional wrestler now for 20 years, been all over the world, and I started a promotion where the girls can make money, and I have a product to put up on download. So DATV has been nice enough to let me put it on their station every Saturday and Sunday night. And if you're interested in anything, just look up ladyvictoria.com.
Cool. So your website's ladyvictoria.com.
Yes, it is.
That is so cool. And I forgot to announce our first podcast, that I also have a website. If you'd like to check me out, you can go to www.helpmegregory.com. Helpmegregory.com, and look me up, and you can contact me through that website. Today we have a special guest with us in person, and her name is Toni Ferguson. And just a few weeks ago, she had a session in person with me, and so in just a few moments, she's going to share with us her experience. As well as we have our call-in random person today, Lori Johnson, who's going to share over the telephone live in session as we're on the air here in just a few moments as well. Again, thank you for tuning in today and being a part of our broadcast. Lady Victoria, you let me come over to your house a couple weeks ago and film this lovely lady that I met. Her name was Toni Ferguson, and I had the opportunity of sharing with her in your living room, and it was pretty cool. We've done many sessions at your house through the years, haven't we?
Yes, we have. My library of girls that come and work for me have all had sessions with him. Some of them have had him on the phone. Some of them have had him in person. I must recommend that if you cannot get here in person, the phone is just as good. Phone sessions are wonderful. He will establish himself immediately and then start in on messages from the spirits from heaven.
Your dad's coming through right now about you having to hide all the bones. Where do you have to hide the bones at? Or is it the treats you have to hide?
I have to hide the treats and the bones. I keep stepping on them with my bare feet.
Oh, okay. Is that why you're having to hide them?
Yeah.
So she has quite a few dogs at the house, by the way, and that's why that's coming through. Her dad, Ed's, coming through with the situation surrounding the dogs and having to hide the bones. That's cute, isn't it? Also, are you out of lunch meat?
Yes, I'm getting lunch meat today.
Okay, he's referencing having to get lunch meat and kind of pinpointing ham and turkey. So I just have to say that to you so he even knows you're going to be going to the grocery store.
Well, I'm having a video shoot on Sunday with the girls, and I was going to serve them lunch meat.
Oh, that's cool. So, well, your dad's involved here, as he knows you're about ready to go to the grocery store after we have the podcast and go grocery shopping. So that's pretty cool. With us today again is Toni Ferguson, and we're going to switch seats here and give Toni an opportunity to share her experiences from about a week and a half ago. Actually, she called around her birthday, and we're going to talk about that too.
Right, and for anybody considering doing this and can't actually be here face-to-face in Dayton, Ohio, I've watched him do phone sessions before, and it's actually no different than sitting there face-to-face. He will sit and describe what you're looking at to legitimize himself, and then he will go into the stories. So right off the bat, you know what's going on. Like I said, it's no different, and very convenient, actually.
Well, it's kind of cool that you'd mention that, because we're going to do a live session here in just a few minutes with a lady named Lori Johnson. And previous to coming to the show today, I put an announcement on my Facebook page that I was going to be here and that we needed some volunteers to do a live session on the air, especially people that I haven't met before. And one lady responded that her sister wanted to share in this day with us. And so in just a minute, we're going to call Lori Johnson and kind of do a little bit of a phone session with her.
Okay.
So let's see if we can reach Lori. And it's cool because this is just at random that we put this show together. It's kind of neat, isn't it? Let me see if I can put her on speakerphone.
Hello?
Hi, Lori. This is Gregory Sanderson. How are you?
I'm just fine, Gregory. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Lori, where are you from?
I'm from Greenfield, Ohio, but I live in Wards State Courthouse.
Greenfield?
Yes.
Okay, you're from Greenfield, Ohio. Yeah, well, it's nice to meet you and share with you. A while back, I'd met your sister. I saw on Facebook where she had left a text. My sister's trying to get a hold of you. And so, Lori, it's wonderful to share with you. And on the way to the studio, we made contact, you and I, over the phone to set up confirmation that you would be on today's first show. And right before you called, your mother came through. Is your mom the one that you're wanting to make contact with?
Yes.
She recently passed?
Yes.
Well, God love you.
Recent.
Okay. Well, the first thing she said to me is she used to do something to the back of her hair. Like, I don't know if she put something over it, like a shower cap or some kind of hat. What did your mom used to do to her hair? She was real finicky about her hair.
Yeah, she was very picky about her hair. She liked to go to a salon and get it done often, and after it was finished, she would always try to hold it in place. Even when she brushed at night, she would put a silk slip over her pillowcase to try to help hold her hair in.
Okay, a slip? She would put a slip over her pillowcase?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Are you on speakerphone?
Yes.
Can you take it off speakerphone because we're having a little bit of issues to hearing you?
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind, that's better.
Well, she would always sleep on a silk slip, for one thing, but she would always she would always spray it down real good and try to hold it in place because she never wanted her hair out of place.
Oh, that
she didn't
is...
like the wind to blow it or anything, so she's just real picky about her hair.
Well, and a few names that comes through around you is Carl. Who is Carl to your mother or to you?
She had a brother named Carl that she was very close with in age.
Okay, well, she's referencing him. And also...
Yeah, he's the only one of her siblings that's still living.
Okay, well, she referenced him. And also, who is Paul to you?
She has a cousin. Everyone called him Paul Wendell. He was a very funny man. He always kept the family laughing. She always thought a lot of him.
And someone's referencing bees or bee hives, or you know those things they keep bees in. Who used to do the bees?
I'm not sure about that.
Did you have an issue with bees most recently?
No, I haven't.
Anything around you that someone's mentioned a beehive or bees?
Not that I can think of. Bees.
Yeah, like, when I see it, it kind of looks, like a beekeeper.
Well, my daughter was just now reading something about these things.
So you're just now reading about bees and a beekeeper?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay, because your mom is referencing it. And what she's doing is letting you know that in this very moment, she's not just with me, she's with you as well.
I believe that.
You understand? She's sitting here telling me about beehives and bee houses or beekeepers.
Yeah, my daughter's sitting here with me. She's reading it.
Oh, isn't that cool? So she's referencing the fact, isn't that cool? So she's with you and your daughter both. Who reminded you of that? Was that her in the background saying...
Yes.
Oh, it's a good thing she's with you. Is that why you were on speakerphone?
Pardon?
Is that the reason you were on speakerphone, so she could hear as well?
Yeah, it was.
Well, God bless you. Well, Grandma knows that she was reading the story about the bees. Isn't that cool?
Yes, it is.
So, I just shared with Dr. Amy J. from Atlanta, Georgia. She was a lady that I called on the phone who's had previous sessions. And the fact that heaven is not only here in this moment, but heaven is with you as well. God is omnipresent. That means that God and everybody in heaven who's passed on or transitioned into heaven has the attributes of God to be with you and with me at the same time. Omnipresent means always present everywhere. So that's so cool to get the confirmation about the bees. Isn't that neat?
Yes, it is.
Also, who had troubles to the hand?
My son.
That's the son that has troubles to the hand?
Yes.
What's going on with his hand? Mom's referencing it.
Well, we all, my mother, my sister, me, and my two children have muscular dystrophy. It's called FSH.
Well, God bless.
He also has, because of the muscular dystrophy, he has brachial plexopathy, which causes numbness and tingling in his hand. And he works with his hands because he does like web design and stuff. So he has to constantly rest his shoulder and his hands, and he just has a lot of trouble with his right hand because of the muscular dystrophy and the brachial plexopathy.
Well, God bless him. It's also comforting to know that Mom not only referenced your daughter, but also your son.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that comforting to know that she's not just with you in the
Yes.
car, but she's also with the son?
Yes, they were her world.
Isn't that cool? Also, she's referencing troubles to teeth, to like the upper jaw. Who's having dental issues?
Probably my brother, her son, yes.
Okay, like to one side. Does that make sense to you?
He has a lot of trouble with his teeth, and also my granddaughter's mother, whom we're still very close with, she is having all of her teeth pulled, and she's had a lot of pain and issues this past week.
That's it. That's the person that they're referencing.
She would have been my daughter-in-law, but her and my son separated.
Daughter-in-law. Okay. I have to ask you, did you just have a runaround with your electric bill?
With my electric bill?
Yeah, or a bill?
Oh, I have plenty of those. yes, we've been in a little bit of a financial pinch.
Well, God bless you. We'll when I get off air here, I'll say a prayer for you that changes for you. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today, and God bless you, and God bless the family, and send my love to your sister. I see her on Facebook quite a bit, and thanks. God bless, and you have a wonderful day.
You too, Gregory.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wasn't that cool? I think maybe that helps people understand a little bit about what I do.
I think so. I think that if you listen a couple more times, you really won't have any way but not to come and see Greg, if not for anything but to put a smile on your face, and that is really what it's all about.
So ladies, if you don't mind, we're going to do a switcheroo.
Okay.
I'd like to welcome Toni to our show today. Toni, it's lovely to have you here and to be sharing with you in this unique and special way. I know we had a session right around your birthday. My grandson's birthday is June the 13th, and your birthday is?
June the 13th.
Cool. So I remember I made chocolate cupcakes with chocolate icing that day when I talked to you, and your session was actually the next day, correct?
Correct.
June the 14th. Yeah, can I have you move that microphone a little closer to you? Yeah, there.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be a little bit better. Let me turn you up here. Maybe that'll help turn me down because I think I'm getting a little feedback. I have a big mouth, don't
Yeah,
I?
you do.
So I thought it was cool because my grandson just turned 13 on June the 13th, and your birthday fell the same day. I was making him chocolate cupcakes with chocolate icing. The next morning when I got ready to prepare for your session, someone from heaven said, take her a chocolate cupcake. And I said to him, I can't take her a chocolate cupcake because as soon as you pick it up and unwrap it, it falls apart. It just didn't hold together right. Now, a month prior to that, I made white cupcakes for the other grandson who just turned 12. That was Calvin, and his held together perfectly, but for some reason the chocolate ones just fell to crumbs, and so I didn't bring you one. You remember me telling you about that? And why was it that he wanted me to bring you that chocolate cupcake? And who was it? It was your father-in-law from heaven,
Right.
wasn't it? His name was Norman?
Yes, correct.
And what did they call Norman? What was his nickname?
They called him Ferg,
Ferg.
and his right before he passed, that's he wouldn't eat anything, and that's what he wanted, a chocolate cupcake.
And so before he passed, you took him a chocolate cupcake
Yep.
with chocolate icing, correct?
Yep, correct.
Well, I remembered to bring you that today.
You didn't have.
So I brought you a chocolate cupcake with chocolate icing so that Ferg would leave me alone about it. So there's your chocolate cupcake with the chocolate icing. This one is fresh and just came from the bakery, so I know it's not going to fall apart. But God
Thank
bless,
you.
and there is your cupcake from heaven.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So you're going to end up, be careful, you're going to end up looking like me if you eat all those cupcakes. Okay, well, Toni, would you mind sharing a little bit about your experience from a few weeks ago?
Yes. Well, we started off with, I think it was Ferg, and he has a friend. Ferg passed away. Ferg passed away about 2 years ago on Thanksgiving.
Okay, but pardon me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but the last thing that Ferg ate was a chocolate cupcake with chocolate icing, correct?
Correct.
I wanted to make sure that we pointed that out, that the fact that the last thing that he ate was something you took him, and that's why he wanted you to have the chocolate cupcake with chocolate icing.
Oh, okay.
You understand? Because
Yes.
that's the last thing that he ate before he made his transition.
Correct.
Okay, and I'm sorry, go ahead. And Ferg came through at the very beginning of your session.
Yes, and it was the cupcake, and then his best friend in Tucson.
Okay.
John. And I right off the back, I knew it was Ferg because the cupcake, and then John is his best friend in Tucson.
And he referenced his best friend and his name from heaven, correct?
Correct.
To bring confirmation of who was speaking to you.
Right. There was no way it's only Ferg and John.
Isn't that wonderful?
Isn't it?
And Toni, I forgot to mention, but currently you're living in Tip City, Ohio.
Correct.
And you're about to transition or move yourself to the south here. Is that Georgia you're moving to?
Correct.
Kind of close to Florida edge.
Yeah.
And where are you from originally?
Tucson,
Arizona?
Uh-huh.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and I'm sorry, go ahead with what were some of the highlights or some of the things that you remember that stood out the most about your session?
There was quite a few. I went home and I just couldn't think for a couple of hours. So much. There was time that you mentioned 3 trees, and that's my mother, because I had planted 3 trees, and in the middle of these 3 trees I had planted a St. Joseph so that the house would sell. It's like a tradition, people do that, and I haven't taken it out, so my mom is reminding me to get over there and take
Well,
the
it
thing
was
out.
interesting, too, that she referenced the 3 trees and also a holy piece being buried under the trees.
Under the tree.
And she referenced precisely that there was something of value buried under the trees.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
And I thought that was pretty neat because it was the blessed Saint Joseph that you buried there in order for the house to sell, and you'd forgotten to get Saint Joseph when you left, correct?
Correct.
It's neat, too, that she brought up the 3 trees the way she did. And then what else do you remember from that session?
And she also mentioned, if I remembered, we carry a little rock in our purse that's a magnet with a magnet dust on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
And we've had that since we were little. I mean, since I was 5 years old, and when you said that, I was like, oh, my God.
That is neat too, because remember we referenced the magnet in your session, and also how we as people sometimes are the opposite polar
Correct.
parts of a magnet. Sometimes if we have negativity, we're like 2 north ends come together and they won't come together. They just won't come together. But when we think positive, we turn the magnet around and we can draw the things that we need to us. That was part of your session over that magnet. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And that is so cool that you referenced that little magnet that you've carried since you were a child in your pocketbook.
Yeah, and nobody but me and her. It's our secret.
And isn't that wonderful?
That's how this works.
Yeah, it's just to me it's beyond imagination, and I sometimes wonder myself how I can come up with all this stuff, because really it doesn't come from me whatsoever. It comes from the holy realm or heaven, and I'm just the one that gives the information out, so to speak. But sometimes I'm kind of awestruck by the things that everybody mentions after their session. And I know you referenced the fact that directly after your session you went home and you had a period of time where you were in a euphoric moment where you couldn't put things together. That's the way it is when you're in a session, isn't it?
Correct.
And before we begin, I always say to people, you're not going to be able to put this all together in this moment. That's why I recorded on an audio CD, and you get to take the audio CD when you leave, so that you have that as a reference. And even if it's not recorded, it's wonderful how the mind retains those thoughts, especially during times where I may say something that you don't understand, and then later on in the moment it comes to you as it's happening.
Right.
I have to say to you, your mother's mentioning peanut brittle. Did you just get peanut brittle or want to eat peanut brittle recently, or what is it about you and peanut brittle?
I love it.
Okay, cool. And did you just have it and not eat it, or?
Right. I'm having some problems, but.
Okay.
In other words, she's telling me don't eat the peanut brittle.
Okay. Well, she's referencing that in this moment to let you know that she's in support of.
Just bought it.
Isn't that cool? You just bought the peanut brittle.
Yes.
That's cute. It's in my notes here. I wrote down peanut brittle. That is so cute. Then also, what are some of the other things that you wrote down there? You've got a whole list of things.
Yes, I do. We have the tree. We have the rock.
I remember that we talked about a tiered thing that you put things on. Remember I showed you, I referenced a leaning ladder across the street, but it wasn't a ladder. It was like a shelf. What was that about?
I've been working on it's supposed to be a shoe rack.
Okay.
But I've taken it and I'm making it like for jewelry, for towels, for hats, for just hang them up. And I've been working on that for a couple of weeks, and I've got 2 of them. And it's funny, I've been working on them, and you mentioned the ladder, and I thought, wow, I've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. So she's watching me. Yeah,
and that's so interesting. And you're about to move into a new home here, and you're waiting for things to come together over that, correct?
Correct.
And so some of the things that we talked about in this session, has it brought you closer to the assurance and knowing that you're going to get there soon?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Has it calmed you down?
A lot.
Again, it's that sometimes we get in these fits of fury where we don't think things are moving, so we become the 2 north ends of a magnet, and we can't get there because we keep pushing it further from us, or we can't attain it because we're so stressed over that. And so that was, again, reference to the magnet and how we can look at it and say you're receiving the things that you're asking or requesting. Haven't even confirmed to you the things that you would receive along the path, correct? Without going into detail about what, but the fact that the assurance in knowing that during specific times coming up that you'll receive the things you need in order to get to Georgia, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to share?
Yes, I was, you told me about a ribbon, and it's funny because right before I came to my session, I was wrapping a birthday gift, and I was having a hard time with the ribbons, twisting them and gluing each little ribbon. They're real tiny.
I remember that one because I remember saying, she's showing these little tiny ribbons that you're trying to do. What are these little ribbons that she's showing me? Mm-hmm. And that's how she referenced the fact that you were wrapping a package. Who was the package for?
It's for Kenny Dale. He's got Down syndrome.
Okay.
I got to get the gift to him because...
Well, that's wonderful, though. Mom knows that you wrapped the gift for him, and then that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that was really neat. The letter. Oh, and my father came across... the other night I was sleeping. I clearly heard somebody say hello, and I sat up and I kind of didn't scare me, but it was my dad because you were asking me, was my bedroom
closet door open?
And it was.
Yeah, he referenced the fact that he visited you and the closet door was open. Yeah. Confirming to you who it was in the room when you heard the voice say hello.
Right. That was awesome. I feel now that I'm closer to them, and it's beautiful.
I don't understand us as humans, I guess because I've just been so in tune my whole life, the fact that we don't have an understanding that we cannot disconnect from our ancestors because they're part of the same energy as us.
Correct.
We have the understanding of DNA and how DNA works, and we could go back 15,000 years to, through our ancestors to realize we have some of the same characteristics and attributes of our people. But we don't have the understanding that if you're made of the same energy, cellular, neutron, proton structure of you comes from the same energy your family were made of, how can you sever from that? Yeah. You can't sever from the energy or the light of your people. Mm-hmm. And so that's the blessedness of the moment in a session with these gifts, the fact that you have the ability to have the understanding of that. Mm-hmm. And once you turn that around like that magnetic pull, you pull your ancestors to you because you know they're not far off at all.
Right.
Isn't that the blessed part of that?
That is.
So I just want to thank you for being here and sharing your experiences. I never know what people is going to say or how they take the sessions because I'm just sitting there giving you the information. Yeah. I don't know how it's helped or helped you along your path or how it affected you. When you look back at your session, have you had sessions with people before?
Not with a medium, no.
Okay, so have you had sessions with psychics?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Was this session different?
Yes, it was.
Okay. How would you say it was different?
I felt more comfortable. I think it was family, it was people that I knew. And the psychic really didn't. She did a lot of guessing.
Okay, so this you kind of had more confirmation
on this,
from your people and validation that only you would know.
I knew.
So that's pretty cool, and that's why I love this work. Well, thank you again for being part of our broadcast, and hope to see you again in the future.
Oh, you will. You will. I won't leave until I see you again.
Oh, well, wonderful, and God bless you on your journey to your new home in Georgia. Maybe I'll get to come down and visit you there.
Yeah, I'll send you my address.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again, Toni, for being here.
God bless you, too.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
I know that Toni had mentioned confirmation from Greg, and that's another thing that I really forgot to mention is the confirmation. If you're a worrier and you stress and you can't sleep at night because you are so incredibly worried about stuff, this will take it all away. Once you know that the Lord is with you every minute, all the worry just goes out of your body. and you're at peace finally. Even with all the troubles in your life, you're still at peace because God's with you. And Greg helped me see that. So I really want to thank him.
Well, thank you, ladies, and thanks for letting me be a part of your life. The wonderful thing about these gifts are it's not of me, and that's the blessedness of the miracle of the gifts, the fact that I can be Greg and be human, just as human as you. And you just talked about worry and can't sleep at night. Well, I have the same issues because I'm human, but it's comforting to know that we have a divine spirit with us called the Holy Spirit that works with us on a daily basis and brings us the communication we need, and the assurance in knowing that God is not far off, and that at any moment in our life's given moment that we call out to him, that he hears and receives our prayers and answers the prayers of his people. Again, thank you, ladies, for being part of the show and part of this podcast, and God bless. And thanks everybody for watching and tuning in today, and you all have a wonderful, blessed day on us.
God bless you, and thank you.
Bye-bye.